on, but their opponent moving forward is Canada. Canada getting a victory over Suriname, 4-0 on aggregate, 1-0 in Suriname, and then 3-0 at home. For me, I know, again, Canadian bias will always be here, so let's put that out there. I think I expected Canada to win this. I could see the pieces of what Suriname is trying to build. To echo a bit of the conversation of, I feel as if maybe Suriname left a little bit too much meat on the bone, or maybe they were a bit too respectful of Canada for the talent. And in the moment, sometimes where they seem like they were press tolerant, shall we say, like they could handle it, where they can dribble out of it. I didn't feel like they took enough chances. I felt that they played a bit too defensive. Now, maybe that's me downplaying Canada overall. I think Canada was the better side on paper, clearly. But I felt that there were moments in the game where you said, maybe if they pushed up a little bit more, they could have opened this game up, and maybe playing up and down wasn't what they wanted to do. That's not necessarily how we've seen Suriname play. But I felt as if they've left a little bit more, too much meat on this bone offensively, in terms of chances that they just chose not to take versus chances they missed. Because the chances they created were good chances, right? From the Suriname standpoint. But I feel like if they took a few more chances, maybe they could have been rewarded a little bit more. Because
said. You use the word meat on the bone, but you can look at it from two sides. I could say that because a lot of Suriname is saying that the coach is kind of a coward because he went for he went and put a defender, Van der Kos, in left wing position and left out the better performing player in CONCACAF, which is Messidian. And anytime he came on the pitch, he seems nobody from Canada can stop him. Just like, nobody could have stopped him before. So I'm saying, okay, because maybe he doesn't offer the defensive coverage. You're trying to be too defensive, and you didn't have Kenneth Paul in the middle for the security. So I would say that it's a bit of what you said, meat on the bone left, because the coach was a little bit more, respectful to Canada, and also he put so much praise in Kenneth Paul alone. Then it tells you that he only believes that he can play expansive football when Kenneth Paul is there. But if he's not there, he's not going to expose his squad for Dion Malone and Penas to be the anchor of the midfield. So that tells you that the United sort of might need more 6s and 8s, because once you don't have a player, they seems to don't have any extra body strength in that department. So I agree with that. They left some meat on the bone there. They did create their chances in both legs. It would have been sad if Canada never got the win at Suriname, because I thought that Canada was the better team in the first half. The second half was a complete different game. For the first 20 minutes, people could say that Suriname was pretty much just outplaying Canada the whole time. They couldn't touch the ball. They were struggling to get on it. So that's why I heard your honesty. They're saying that they could have done better when you see them did things like that in spurts. And when they look like they're confident to go up with them one-on-one. So I agree with you. But at the same time, we still have to give respect to Canada. They stuck to their functions. They're inverted players to make the numbers. Jonathan David coming into the camera role, dropping deeper, sometimes playing as a central. I like that. And it gives Suriname a little trouble there, because now they have to get one of their 6s to come try and trap Jonathan David, and it leaves only one player there, and majority of the times it left Malone alone there, and Malone is 5,000 years old. You never expected him to stop Kone or Ustakio. It's going to always seems like they are going to have an extra leg, and the back line will be exposed, and that's how the wing channels gets open. So to be honest, it's a good experience for Suriname. They will know what they need. And that's what a good team actually improves, by looking what the problem is and go there and figure it out. So they are going to have to get a few more 6s in their team. They have everybody else. They have wingers, they have strikers, they have fullbacks, they have center back, they have keepers, they have everything else except the 6s, and it definitely proved that you need it. So big up to CONCACAF as well. Big up to Canada, and good attitude from Suriname.
Agreed. When it comes to Canada, I don't think it's crazy to say that I think right now Jonathan David is the best Canadian player playing. Period.
Yes.
Hands down. I don't think that's a crazy statement to make.
No.
And to me, he was their MVP of their window, right? Creating the goal, dropping off. There are things for me stylistically I don't like him doing, but that's just because I still hold on to the hope that he's more of a 9s9 versus a 10s9 in that cam roll in space. So for me, whenever I see him dropping that deep, I think to myself, but I need you running behind there. But maybe it's just up to me to accept him as the player that he is versus what I want him to be. But ultimately, I think he was their best player move forward there. Hoylett in the first game, but then Schaffelberg with 2 goals in the second, a 4-1 win. I think Hoylett being there, I mean, you don't have Liam Miller for Canada. You just got Buchanan back, Tejan playing at Inter. I think that for me is a big question for Canada. Can they get consistent play on the wing space? Because March window coming, their 2 starting outside players are MLS players, so they'll be in preseason mode at that point. So they'll have to have a quick ramp up or hope that nothing happens in training and such. Their outside spots are going to be questions that I think they need answers for. Buchanan is one thing. Hoylett playing is a possibility. But I think that is a low-key. As much as Schaffelberg scoring is great, and he's a very direct player, for me, he plays well for the country, not necessarily for club. Maybe he gets that fixed this year, and we see it consistently. But until that, I still kind of see his cap, or not his cap, but his ceiling on this team for how he's playing as a player that for 45 minutes will give you nothing but pace, space, and just terrorize whatever player is marking him, just attacking and attacking. I wonder, though, if they're able to find something else, either in the meantime or as a player who can step in and be that platoon with no Liam Miller right there. When you look at this Canadian side, are there any holes you think that they have that they maybe need to address before the March matchup comes in against Mexico?
Yes, I still saw some holes, which I've already indicated that the left back position, Laurier, his attitude is very good because he's willing to fight anyone. And I'm not talking viewers, I'm not talking fight on the football field, like tackle. He's willing to fight anyone. All right.
Not backing down from anyone. He was mourning, as I told you earlier.
Physically want to fight anyone. So his spirit is there, but his actual talent, you can say that maybe he's not the Alphonso Davies type of player. You can clearly see that. So the depth chart is not really so good there. And all of these big teams, they are very dominant over the right-hand side. So if you don't have Alphonso Davies for the next window, Laurier can be exposed. Kamal Miller is a fighter, but he still lacks the pace so he can get in behind. So with a Mexico team being so technical, if they get in, isolate him, draw him out, similar to Damian Lowe type thing, Damian Lowe can recover, but I think he can't recover because I saw his attitude. I like it, but both of them, I like them as fighters. But I would say over that side might be the problem. Bombito seems like he's a solid one. John Steen looks like he's a solid one, but pace can cause him some problems as well because Charlotte Baker proved that. So your fullbacks, them, I think I saw where majority of the problems are. Carnelius coming back in for the next window, that would be a solution there. But I could see the backups for a whole back line seems a little bit dodgy. But every other position, I think is all right. So the wing areas, the midfield areas, I think you guys have enough cover and you have quality players that can rival everyone else. Goalkeeping area, see that you guys have 3 solid goalkeepers now. So that's started, but I would just say it's a back line. The depth at the back line is my major concern, and mainly out at the wide areas, left and right back.
That's fair. I mean, your reserves aren't your starters, and that there's a clear reason for that. Before we switch off this game, Bombito had another good window to me.
Yes.
To me, just because of his recovery speed is there, he can, again, I've said this from time. Now he gets the technical reps against more technical players. I think that improves his game. Where do you think he is right now in terms of the best center backs in CONCACAF? Because I've seen some people say he's clearly the best. I've seen some people say he's top 5. To me, I'll give my answer. I think he's rising. So I'd say he's like, he would at least be to me 3, but he's rising. And I think because he just got to a high level, the 2 players I rank on top of him are just because they've done it at a level, whether it be for years or just they've been in that environment for longer. So to me, the 2 I have in front of him are Ethan Pinnock, just because the longevity of how he's done it, and Chris Richards, just because he's been in that setup for a bit. But outside of those 2, I think then Bombito is there, and if Richards continues to struggle with availability, I think Bombito can pass him as quickly as he runs. But right now, he's top 3 for me. What about you? Where do you think he finds himself right now?
I think he's a rising centre back. I am very sorry. I think I would tell people to hold their arses and jump in to say he's top 3. And to say that he the only reason why he's not 1 is because of the experience of Ethan Pinnock. Ethan Pinnock is a mile better centre back than Bombito at this point. I think that this is the disrespect.
I gave him 1.
Not you, but to people, Bombito is not 50% as good as Ethan Pinnock. I'm asking you. Maybe he could be as good. But we need to stop these madness. What have Bombito really done in football? You're talking about a man that statistically makes the Premier League's best team of the season for 2 years. And all of a sudden, Bombito just gets a move out of CONCACAF and he's the best in CONCACAF. No, people, no. Bombito is a solid player. He's learning his craft, learning to read different systems. Well, Ethan Pinnock have been reading the best systems in the world, and he's the best player in some of the biggest matches in the world. Bombito have not achieved not even 1 of that. Not even 1.
Oh,
we need to stop that foolishness. All right? That is foolishness. So I would say that Bombito is still struggling for top 5 people. We need to stop it.
Who's your top 5 then? I'm curious to know.
We have several. I'm not going to go into deep, but I'm going to say he doesn't have the reps. Because I respect him, I like him, but I don't think he's all so almighty ahead of everyone else. Because I like a lot of centre backs. I like first thing, I like obviously you would say that he's not Edson plays centre back in the region. He plays centre back. As centre back, I still have Edson over him as a centre back as well. I still have Ethan Pinnock above him as well. Chris Richards is better than him and play at a higher level for a longer time than him. Right. I think he's still in the level of Deshaun Bernard, Lati Bodier, Denzel. I think he's still in the batch of those players. Tim Ream, he drops off big time after Fulham, but his last year at Fulham, I would say Tim Ream was still better than him. Because Tim Ream had a good spell at the last year, but he drops off big time coming back to America. So we can't put him up there. But people, we have a lot of centre-backs in the region, so let me stop disrespecting them. Bombito is on the rise, but we can't. He just done. So what happened to all of these people's records? They are just nothing. It's all right. Bombito is a new savior. All right.
No. Don't you put that on me. Don't you put that on me. No, there will be no Messiah talk here.
After 2 years of football, it is shocking. He's a quality player. And quality, yeah. But give him the time. Give him 2 years. But you cannot have no CV and be better than everybody that has CV. All right.
I can respect that take.
It is disrespectful.
I can respect that take. And that's why, again, maybe I put too much on it for saying he's top 3 to me. But I think my only reason why I'm not going to go any further than that is because, again, like you said, let him get some more reps. And then from there, when the consistency, I'm the consistency person. Show me consistently that you belong there. Then you're there. Right now,
and he might just jump to first as well because Ethan Pinnock is getting older. So he might just jump over Ethan Pinnock and everyone else. But let's be honest, people. We have a lot of rising centre backs. And surprising, Jamaica have a lot of them. So we are going to be seeing a lot of them being tested. And I can tell you, if they survive those onslaughts, they will be up there with Bombito blood. All right, because Jamaica having 70, 80 defensive coverage in one game. They will have 20 alone. All right, so yeah, people, I love the Bombito argument. I will have it, but people, you cannot fight me on my take. He has no CV, but yet still, all of these guys playing in Europe for 7 years, and they are still 24. We should put Bombito above them. I think it's unfair. No. They came in CONCACAF. They made multiple teams of the week in CONCACAF. So they are doing equally, if not better than Bombito in CONCACAF, but yet still they shouldn't get the record. I love my Canadians, but I'm not going to disrespect them.
I can respect that take. I can respect that take wholeheartedly. But speaking of...
Anybody say Bombito is on Pinnock's level? You need jokes.